The virtuous circle, which then began, started slowing, mainly in 2006 and 2007 because of the slowing of the Turkish reform process, which was very noticeable. The first excuse given was the elections. Then there was the elections, huge AKP majority, the crisis in 2007 with the army. The elections brought the AKP back, but still not enough has been done. There has been one important law which has to do with the foundations belonging to the minorities in Turkey. Not entirely satisfactory, but a step forward, no question about that. But certainly there has not been enough progress. And the result of that is that insofar as the Turkish attitude to Greece is concerned, it is, one might say, favorable. Insofar as the Greek attitude to Turkey is concerned, on an official and a business level, it's very favorable, and there are large Greek business investments in Turkey. The National Bank of Greece is the best known one. It bought Finance Bank. A Turk is now the leading National Bank of Greece man for all the Balkans. So it's already become a multinational. It shows how fast, rapidly Greeks and Turks can get together when the atmosphere is right. But unfortunately, on the popular level, the image of the bad Turk is still in place in Greece. It was very much encouraged by the old Archbishop of Athens, who has recently died, and the new Archbishop is far more favorable, but he does not, by any manner of means, represent either all the hierarchy or, what is more important, all the country. The economic advance is important, it's impressive, but we must remember that these are the sort of things that can be reversed. It can be reversed for economic reasons because the trade balance is overwhelmingly in Turkey's favor, as you would expect. The euro is an expensive currency, and the Turkish lira is a much less expensive currency. But it also could be reversed by political discord in a number of ways. There are major outstanding issues which concern the Patriarchate of Constantinople, the decisions by the European Human Court of Human Rights against Greece on the status of those who wish to describe themselves as Turkish minority in Western Thrace, and the issue of Sharia law in Western Thrace. I can discuss them if you wish in answer to questions. So we have here a basically virtuous circle moving forward. It continues to move forward with underlying impetus, but with not sufficient speed in order to ensure that it cannot under any circumstances be reversed. I turn to the second circle, and the second circle concerns the Turkish-EU relationship, where we are in a very vicious circle. Many Turks complain that the European Union is tougher on them than it has been to other applicant countries. The complaint is justified in part. It's justified insofar as though there is a culturally Christian prejudice. There has been, and in some countries there is, a cultural Christian prejudice against Muslims. And more recently, and more dangerously, there is a cultural secular prejudice against Muslims in quite a lot of countries of Europe. And it's very important to distinguish those two prejudices. They come from different roots, but they both definitely exist. But it's not, the complaint on balance is not justified. And when I talk with my many Turkish friends, at this point I put on my British hat, being as I am a citizen both of Britain and of Greece, and I say to them, look, the United Kingdom's accession application was rejected twice in the 1960s. And nobody has ever talked to Turkey in the language that General de Gaulle used to the United Kingdom. The fact of the matter is that the reason that this occurred to the United Kingdom is that it was considered, the United Kingdom was considered too big and too different. And the European Union, it was then called, of course, European Economic Commission or whatever it was called in those days, they've changed names a number of times, felt that Britain was too big and too different. And this, of course, is fundamentally the problem with Turkey. And I will quote the former chairman of Friends of Cyprus, president of Friends of Cyprus, who held a position now held by Robert Corbett. In 1979, Nicholas told me, Costa, Greece is going to be brought into the European Union. It was still very much in doubt. Germany was strongly imposed at that time. He said, there are three reasons. Culturally, it's important for the European Union that Greece should be in. Greece deserves a consolation prize because we can't do anything about Cyprus. A big injustice was committed. The Americans weren't allowed to do anything about it. So she should get a consolation prize. Third, Greece is an administratively incompetent country. It's absolutely awful. We know, everybody in the European Union knows, that it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess for heavens only knows how long. But it's small. We can handle the mess. And of course, it's proven to be very much like that. In 1989, when I spoke to Nicholas enthusiastically, because I thought very well of Turgut Özal and his attempts, which were largely successful to Europeanize a large part of Turkey, and I said, well now, Nicholas, what about Turkey? He said, out of the question for the foreseeable future, said Nicholas. And he had no anti-Islamic prejudice. And he gave 3 reasons. Culturally, it's difficult, he said, because it's so difficult to converse with Turks. Such a low proportion of Turkish political leaders know English or French. Very interesting point. Nothing to do with Islam or anything of that sort. Something much more prosaic. Second, it will bring us foreign policy problems in areas that we don't know that there is a European view or an European interest. The Caucasus, the Kurds, the Near East. We want to be far away from these problems, not close to them. And third, he reminded me of our previous conversation a decade earlier, and he said, well, they're administratively incompetent too, but they are absolutely huge. There is no way we can take this on board. Well, I say that because Nicholas was not anti-Turkish by any manner of means, and he had no cultural prejudice against Turks. But that's what he said, and he was summing up a view which is very common in Brussels. In the early stages, of course, those EU countries who took a negative view hid behind Greece. Greece went on about Cyprus, and about the Aegean, and about various other issues. When the Greeks realized they were being used, starting with Kranidiotis in 94, dramatically so with George Papandreou and Kostas Simitis after 99, this was no longer possible. So, Greece took the European position. Yes, certainly, Turkey should come in if and when Turkey fulfills European norms. Whereas some of Turkey's friends, particularly Britain, have seemed to be saying, yes, whatever, at times. And France and Germany have appeared to be saying, at times, and seem to be saying today, may this cup pass from us. Legally, however, they can do nothing if Tayyip Erdogan and or his successors consistently follow the line the AKP leadership took in 2002. When a Turkish political leader in February 2003, actually, not 2002, my mistake, February 2003, told me face to face, we know we are not going to get in the European Union in the foreseeable future, but it is absolutely essential for us to get in foreign investment in a big way, to diminish the huge 7-to-1 it then was, difference in GDP per capita in the wealthy areas around Izmir, Istanbul, and Ankara, and the poor areas, Turkish-speaking and Kurdish-speaking, in the east of the country. And let me quote some figures to show you how successful they have been. From 1 billion per annum foreign direct investment per annum between 1992 and 2002, in 2006, that is, in only 4 years, they got to 20 billion foreign investment per annum. In 2007, 22 billion per annum, and this is a very crucial point. In 2008, this is all from the Financial Times, that thing. In 2008, in the first 2 months of the year, it went dramatically down. 1.6 billion in the first 2 months, which on an annual basis will only take us up, obviously, to 6 times that, 9 billion, compared with 8 billion in the first 2 months of 2007. So suddenly, as a result of the vicious circle in Turkish-EU relations, Turkey's growth and ability to solve its fundamental economic problems are put at risk. And there is no Turkish government that can ignore that.